want to thank everybody for coming out today. I was very distraught when we thought we weren't going to be able to have the flag changing ceremony this year. And it's with changes in the numbers of people you could have and things like that. We decided to have it, and then the alert last week came out on decreasing the number of people, so we thought we were going to have to cancel it. Thankfully, we didn't. That's just for the at-home stuff. So, I'm very thankful for all of our veterans and the service they provided to the country. I'm thankful for this weather. And I'm also thankful for George Kardasen, who has been very near and dear to our heart at the senior center. I gotta take this down. George was kind of a staple here, and today we're going to be raising the flag for George. So we are going to start by a couple of other thanks. I would like to thank the Dalton Color Guard, who came out in force today, I see. You gentlemen look wonderful. And I would like to also just thank Sugar Hill, who, despite not being able to have a sit-down meal together today, decided that they were still going to make the lunch, and you're getting the take-home lunch. So if you didn't sign up for one, I do believe there's going to be enough that you'll still be able to get one should you change your mind. So I would like to introduce to you John Boyle from the Dalton Select Board.
Donald Trump here. Kelly, thank you very much. Hey, this is a fantastic day. It couldn't possibly be any better than this. It is just glorious. I'm sure you guys remember last year. Cold, rainy, and people were freezing to death out here. Anyway, I'd just like to say, I met George Kardasen later in life. I met him through his son Brian at the country store up there, and as a mutual friend and neighbor of my good friend Clint Stowers. And George was the quietest guy, but a great sense of humor and very, very intelligent. It was just a joy to be around him. And he was, as Kelly said, he was extremely active in this Council on Aging Senior Center down here. George, I found out, did a little research, attended the University of Alabama. When someone asked him, why the University of Alabama? He said, that's the only place they would take me. That's the kind of guy he was. But evidently he advanced his technological skills at that time, which was now the early 40s. World War II was on. And George, and I'm not certain, I'm sure Brian or Ricky could tell us, he either enlisted or was drafted, like the rest of us. You know, he's either one or the other. Anyway, he became a electronics technician in the Army and was instrumental in developing the radar, which was new technology at the time, that protected our ships. And George spent more time on ships than I probably did. I was in the Navy. And with the adaptation and implementation of radar, it protected our ships that were supplying the war effort in Europe from the Nazi submarine packs in the North Atlantic. So it was a major, major contribution to the war effort by George. And to this day, many of us still could probably appreciate, and many people are still alive or their heirs because of George's efforts. And he's truly a remarkable man, and he is a friend to all, and a great family. Brian, his wife, and Ricky, who's going to follow me up here as a guest speaker, or say a few comments. And can't say anything more about George. Just a great all-around guy, and we will miss him. On another note, you guys were all in the military. So was I. So was most of my friends and relatives out here. And the military taught you regimentation, discipline, a focus on detail, and resolving problems. And that's what we're going to need in the coming future, because there's another war on, and that's the war against this COVID virus. How do we stop it? I don't know. The best authorities in the world don't know. There's suggestions, social distancing, masks, washing your hands, and all that. And your efforts are just going to have to be combined and put down that good old-fashioned military know-how and come up with some of the solutions that we need in this country to resolve this issue, this problem, because it truly is a war. And I just want to say one final thing. I just came from oral surgery, stitches and everything, Novocaine. So if I'm slurring my words and slobbering all over the place, hey, what else is new? I just want to take this opportunity to salute you guys for your efforts in the past, and my friends over here that are in the military, Clint Stowers, Doug, and everybody else. And Kelly, thank you for the opportunity and for the invite today. It is a true honor to be here today. And I mean that with all sincerity. Thank you. So to introduce Ricky. Ricky Kardasen, a member of the family, of course. I think we all know that. Come on up and say a few words.
Thanks. There. Thanks, John. Good introduction, John. I appreciate that. On behalf of the Kardasen family, I'd like to thank you for the honor being bestowed on our dad today. He'd been very thankful and proud of his recognition of his service. To all the veterans here today, thank you for your service. This event was actually my father's favorite senior center gathering. We are very grateful to Dad's close friends Clint Stowers, John Boyle, and the late Henry Andrus for making sure he was always able to attend and to be here. Now, a bit about his service. When we were kids, it was always, "Hey Dad, what did you do in the Army?" And his stock answer was, "I was in the Army on a ship." Okay, so a little bit of history. John was right, he went to the University of Alabama. He entered the ROTC program in Alabama in 1941. He was working towards his electrical engineering degree. He was drafted in 1942 with a deferment so he could finish his degree. He was in the ROTC, I believe I said that. He finished and went on active duty in 1944. With his degree and the fact that he was an amateur radio operator since high school, he was sent to Camp Crowder in Missouri. Here he went for his basic training and 13 weeks of Signal Corps school. I ran out of ink on the printer. I would have had 2 pages, but now I got like 16 handwritten. From here at Camp Crowder, my father and 23 others were sent to Fort Monmouth in New Jersey, and they were classified as the Electronics Training Group. This group received advanced training in top secret radio and radar technology. It was then their responsibility to teach and train an additional 1,500 people in the radio and radar maintenance. This group of 1,500 was then deployed overseas, and they were in charge of the radar for the anti-aircraft batteries in Britain. At this time during the war, there was already a quota for lieutenants. There were no more commissions, so the 23 members of the electronic training group were promoted to corporals. The group was then disbanded and sent to the Brooklyn Navy Yard for their deployments. Pop drew a lucky straw. He was assigned as a radar technician aboard the Jarrett M. Huddleston. This was an Army hospital ship. For a guy that didn't like heights, he was assigned to the bridge and spent a lot of his time on the mast maintaining the radar. He did not like North Atlantic crossings at all. He had some tales of terror when the front of the ship would disappear, and he would wonder if it would come back up from his position. A quick anecdote, they used to have life lifeboat training. And one of his favorite stories was the guys that were his radio men, there were two of them, would sit down after a training and ask him, which boat were you assigned to? They'd give him their assignment so that he knew where they were. And he said that he was never assigned a lifeboat. And when he asked what lifeboat he was supposed to go to, the folks on the bridge said, you don't, you stay here with us, with the captain. So he didn't know if they were kidding, and right up until the end he wasn't too sure if he was assigned to a lifeboat or what he was supposed to do. The Huddleston was responsible for returning ill, injured, and dying German POWs to France. Then while in France, they were responsible for picking up American GIs and returning them to the States. He eventually returned to the Brooklyn Navy Yard, where he was responsible for maintaining radar on ships that were in and out of port. He separated from the Army in 1946. But that wasn't the end of his service. Probably should just let these fly. Yeah, only a couple. Thanks, Kelly. It's always good to have help. Like I said, Dad had been an amateur radio operator since high school. This played a big part in his assignments to duty while he was in the service. Good. Thank you. He continued his service and used his talents during the Vietnam conflict. Being ham radio operator, he was part of the Mars network. This allowed soldiers and their families to be united in their hometowns by ham radio. In 2007, he took part of the Veterans History Project in cooperation with Adult Community Television and the Council on Aging. His interview with the late Chief Richard Nicholas is on file in the Library of Congress. Do a little research, you can find out Dalton's got some wicked history with veterans. Chief Nicholas, I believe John was involved at that time. Chief Murray interviewed a lot of the veterans, and I think Dalton Community Television is also playing those now. It's very interesting. In 2012, Dad had the privilege of going to Washington, D.C. as part of the Honor Flight New England. This program brings World War II vets to D.C. to visit the World War II Memorial. As we all know, the numbers of World War II vets is declining daily. It was truly an emotional roller coaster. We toured all the D.C. memorials with 50 other World War II vets and their guardians. This was all accomplished in one day. He flew out of Boston, out of Logan, landed in Baltimore. We had a honor guard, motorcycle honor guard, ride all the way into D.C. with our bus, and then we stopped at every memorial. And it was truly an emotional ride. And then the Golden Corral at the end of the day, which I don't know if you know, but World War II vets love the Golden Corral. In 2014, Dad received the honor of being a 50-year member of the Dalton American Legion. The certificate remained on his mantle until he passed, with a picture of Bob Dassett presenting the award to him. In conclusion, the family would like to again thank you for this honor, allowing us to tell Dad's story. And one last note, and I probably find this the most emotional part of the whole thing, is a special thank you to the Legion and VFW Honor Guard and Firing Squad for your service to your brothers and sisters in arms. Your numbers are dwindling, but remember, your voice is still strong for the veterans. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, thanks for taking it.
Okay, so speaking of the Dalton Color Guard, I would like to introduce them now for the changing of the flag.
raise the flag, I would like to lead everybody in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the
Republic
republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gallagher can hut, present, arm. Order, arm.
So one more time for the raised flag, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, gentlemen. So we have Sugar Hill, who has provided the lunches for today.